Well, hello everyone. My name is Juan. Thank you so much for being here on the first ever edition of Marketers Pensieve. Very excited, as you can tell, by my smile, not necessarily by my eyes, because I'm quite sleepy as well. Uh, it's 8:06 a.m. I'm on Eastern Time Zone, so if you're with me, the early folks, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for making the sacrifice of actually being here so early in the morning. Thank you for the support. Um, for those who don't know me, which you probably do, because if you're here on the first ever live stream at 8 a.m. Eastern Time Zone, then you're probably either my mom or my wife or someone I know personally. So, but if you don't, for some reason, and you got here to the live stream, thank you so much for being here. My name is Juan, and I've been working for the past 8 years in marketing, product management, and growth. And what that means is that I've been a digital do it all, basically. Um, Anything that is let's go back a little bit. In 2011, when I got my first exposure to anything related to marketing, I was just helping with social media. Back then, Facebook was the big thing. Hello, Lena. Thank you so much for being here. Back then in 2011, Facebook was the big deal, and I was starting to intern as a social media manager, whatever that was called back then. And it was just basically helping a small company make sure they had a digital presence. That grew to building them a website on WordPress. Then I started working with the student association or the student newspaper at my school, and started helping them with a website. And I've basically always been involved with getting companies to have their first ever experience with a digital presence, being out there, being visible, and that has grown to, and that has shaped to different forms for the past 8 years, where I'm right now a growth lead at a company called Graphite. And Graphite, what we do is basically hey mom, hola ma. And what that means is that so Graphite, we basically build scalable organic growth engines for tech companies. So we've worked with companies such as Ticketmaster, Honey, BetterUp, Masterclass, and we've helped them build organic engines or growth engines, in the sense that we help them alleviate how much they spend on advertising and dedicate it to long-term growth through organic channels. And then we help them leverage the traffic and the users that go to their experiences, whether they're apps or their websites, and help them convert them into active users. So that's sort of where I started and where I am right now. I'm a growth lead at Graphite, and this year I want to do something different. I've never really worked on content creation, and to be honest, it was the time that I did something for myself rather than for someone else, and this has been quite the experience. Last year I let's just say I attempted to do live streams, but in the video game scene, and that was fun. Helped me learn a little bit about the tools. And the company I'm working for is called Graphite. The website is graphitehq.com, and I can probably link you to it. Give me 1 second. Graphitehq.com if you're interested. And basically, yeah, started with very small projects. Now I'm working with big companies, and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to get into content creation. Last year, or actually 2020, I started with a little bit of live streaming in the video game scene, which helped me understand the tools and what was required, the sort of effort. But this year I wanted to do it in a different environment, something in which I was good at, or at least good enough to make a living out of, which is marketing, product management, and growth. And here we are. That's a little bit of how I got into the idea of creating Marketers Pensieve. For those who don't know, Pensieve is actually a reference to an item in one of the Harry Potter movies, and it's this item that basically stores thoughts and memories from people And that's sort of what I was aiming for here at Marketers Pensieve. I know from my network we'll be able to gather a lot of insights from different people and their experiences within marketing, product management and growth. And the idea eventually is to have more people on board, have interviews, have different interactions, analyze case studies, experiences. And that's why I thought the Marketers Pensieve title was a little bit fitting for the theme of the live stream. Now, in terms of the actual format of the live stream, basically what I was thinking initially is that we have this first hour of the live stream with a particular focus or a particular theme to talk about and discuss. And while I may bring a topic to each live stream, the idea is that whatever people are asking for, whatever people are interested in learning more about, you write about it. You basically tell me through the chat, whether you're on Twitch or YouTube. You can let me know what you're interested in talking about, and most likely it'll be related to either marketing, product management, and growth. And if you see that someone else is asking about a particular subject or a particular tool or whatever within those areas in the chat, feel free to also intervene and chat and respond, because the idea is that we create a sense of bilateral communication between you who are watching and myself who is doing all the talking. But instead of being just me talking to you, the idea is that you can also get to engage with other people that are watching, and get to engage with myself as well. So that's also one of the reasons why I didn't want to make this like a podcast format, because podcasts for me are, even if there are two people talking, it's still a conversation between them and the audience just consumes. Whereas I've noticed from other live streams that in this particular format, people get more out of it because they get to ask things that are particularly relevant to them and to projects they're working on, or things that they can relate to, and that makes the conversation much more rich. So again, the idea was to have this the first hour or so of the live stream talk about a particular topic, and then open it up to Q&As. Any particular questions, whether they're related to the main topic or not, or questions about me or my experience, or if you're currently struggling with a particular issue, we can do sort of like a live consulting or live advisory. And that's pretty cool because I think a lot of people can learn from that. People might be struggling to understand even what their problem currently is on their companies or their projects, and maybe some other people can be more articulate about these topics and formulate them in a way that others can relate and that we can solve within a live discussion. I do have to make one disclaimer, and I wouldn't be the son of two lawyers if I didn't make this disclaimer, but basically I want to make clear that everything that I talk about, everything I say, is basically my own personal opinion, based on my experience, my knowledge, or lack thereof. And basically I just want to say that my opinion doesn't represent any of those any opinions of my past employers, current employers, past clients. It's literally just my opinion, and as with any opinion from anyone in the personal and professional aspect of life, you take it with a grain of salt. So take what you think could work for you. Take from whatever I say what you think will be beneficial to you, but doesn't mean at all that whatever I say, that's the way it is. I'm just talking from my experience, and in many cases I'll probably say, hey, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm still less than 30 years old for now, and even though I consider myself to have lived a lot in these 30 years, I've moved around over 24 times in this past 30 years. I don't know it all, but the idea is that if I don't know anything, maybe I do know someone who might know, and we might get their opinion on it. and we can table it for the next live stream and get back to you with an answer. Or maybe someone in the chat is more knowledgeable about it and they can reply and comment and engage. So that's the idea. It's meant to be a space, first hour dedicated to a particular topic or topics around that main topic, and the second hour more on the Q&A side. And even though it's the first live stream and I probably should have left this topic for a later stage, I think my favorite topic at the moment within marketing, product management, and growth is career paths. So I wanted to bring that as the first topic of Marketers Pensieve, because I think a lot of people that are in any of these areas are not entirely sure. They don't find the right advisory many times on where to go within these careers and what their potential career paths is. And this is something that I've been talking about recently with a lot of people that I consider my mentors, people that I work directly with or people that I've worked with in the past. And yeah, small parentheses there, mentorship is probably one of the best things you can do in your professional and personal life. It's basically finding people that have more experience or have lived through experiences that you are either experiencing right now or are hoping to experience in the near future, and they can tell you from their perspective what to expect, and having clear expectations or at least a taste of what you should expect from upcoming experiences, whether it's personal or professional life, always prepares you or creates a mindset that you are more aware of the context and what to expect from different events. So I know I'm being a little bit vague, but for example, if you're looking to transition into a different career, looking for people that have either a very similar background to you in the sense of academic background, geographic background, gender identity background, or any particular vertical that you can identify yourself with, and get their opinion on it, will definitely be very valuable. So that's I guess a good segue into the topic of today, which is within marketing, product management, and growth, what can you expect in terms of career paths? A few years ago, I read something about career paths that are T-shaped or I-shaped, and now there's something called V-shaped. But in essence, it talks about people who develop certain skill sets, and they focus on that particular skill set and become experts or very specialized within that skill set. So if you think about it as a vertical line going from the bottom of no knowledge or little to no knowledge and continue to grow and specialize, your level of expertise becomes higher, but in one particular niche or in one particular area. And that's called an I-shaped sort of career path, where you've basically always been working within the same area and focus on that particular specialization until you become a valuable asset within an industry in that particular specialization. And that's regardless of whether it's in marketing, product, or growth. It's in general what's called an I-shaped career path. Now, a few years ago, I read about T-shaped career paths, which is basically people that originally start like those I-shaped career paths, where they pick a focus, start developing that skill set for that niche of expertise and become experts. But because they've been able to work not in silos, meaning with groups and teams and different people, they become aware and they've learned how to basically employ their oh, thank you for the follow. Hello, Blonde Pandas. Nice name. Thank you for the follow. But basically, the T-shaped kind of career path basically is that you still begin with that particular niche and focus and grow into an expert in one particular area or specialist, or at least valuable enough to distinguish yourself within that area. But then because you've been working with people in other areas, you've been working, maybe you've been focused on social media for your whole life, but then in social media you've been working with people within content marketing, you've been working with people from paid social media. That means that you've got a sense of how you interlock with other teams and other areas, and you know exactly what you need to make their work ideal, and or make your work ideal with their input. And then you start sort of stretching your specialization into different areas. How do you apply what you've learned within social media or your particular niche to these other areas? How does it apply? Do you have transferable skill sets? So, for example, people that have worked in paid ads have in, for example, Google Ads, they have a lot of transferable knowledge if they transition into an SEO oriented career path, or at least enough to be able to lead a team. And that's why it's becoming it's got this T shape, because you specialize in one area and then you have this sort of horizontal landscape of opportunities because of your interaction with other teams. Thank you for the subscription, Andres. Appreciate it. And I actually want to make a quick pause right now. I wanted to make sure that you can hear me okay, that the microphone is fine. Is the music volume too loud? Should I turn it off? Just trying to make sure that you're having a good experience listening or consuming the content so far. If you could reply on the chat, that would be great. But if not, I'll take it that you can hear me well. Okay, perfect. Thanks for the feedback. Awesome. Great. So regarding career paths within marketing, product, and growth, I recently talked with someone that I don't think they're in this live stream, but because it's very early for them, they're on Pacific time zone. But someone who I really admire as a person and also as a professional, and I consider him one of my mentors, even if he doesn't know that. And I was talking about career paths, and he said something very interesting, which is you never really see a VP of SEO, for example. And that's a very particular vertical, a very particular specialization. You rarely see a chief social media officer. Again, that's a very particular specialization. You do see, however, chief marketing officer, chief product officer, or chief growth officer. And most of the time, whichever title they have, they fall responsible within these three areas, at least in tech companies, which is what I've experienced. And so someone within marketing could be leading product teams and growth teams just because of their T-shaped career paths, in which they've worked enough with other teams that they know how to lead them to be successful. So that doesn't mean that as marketers they're amazing product managers or they're excellent growth managers. It just means that they have enough experience to know what to request and expect from those teams in order for them to be successful. Thank you, Nani, for the follow. I hope you're doing well. So the reason why I mentioned this is because even though you specialize in one particular area, and you say, I don't want to have this T-shaped career paths. I want to have more of an I-shaped career paths, or whatever shape you want to call it. That might, depending on your industry, that might be sometimes a limit. It could limit your career opportunities, your roles, your progression, and you might be fine with that. I know people who've been working in software development for 15 to 20 years, and they're still senior software developers, and they've earned and progressed in terms of salary and type of difficulty of projects, but that they don't necessarily become managers or directors or VPs or presidents or chiefs, CXO team. And that's their personal perspective, their personal opinion, and they might be fine with that. Might be people that love to be heads down, focused on something and working on something and making sure that they deliver top quality. they don't necessarily feel that need to become a manager or to progress in roles per se. And that's the other part I wanted to talk about regarding career paths. Basically, you don't necessarily need to change roles or have this manager title or VP or chief title on your roles just to become more attractive. At the end of the day, I mean, it sounds ironic, but that's still marketing. That's your personal brand. Your role or your title is your personal brand, but even stronger than your title or your role is your actual experience. So in companies where you have in the recruitment process a test, for example, an 8-hour test, for example, I've done a couple of those, actually like 3, and you get to demonstrate what you know. That's much more powerful than, for example, when you are in your resume, when you have a lot of blank spaces or you've finished jobs within 3 months or 5 months, you have high rotation of jobs. If you know what you want and if you know your stuff, titles barely mean anything. And that's probably a mistake that I made a few years ago. So in 2017, I had just moved from Boston from doing my master's and working with TripAdvisor to Colombia. And as someone who is coming from the United States in general, and with this big company behind their back, even though I was a brand marketing specialist at TripAdvisor, within 3 months I was CMO at a fintech company in Colombia. And I felt very proud just because I knew I could add a lot of value. I thought that there was a gap between maybe the experience I brought and the academic learnings that I brought from the US into Colombia, and therefore that seniority would be fitting. But then the CMO role didn't really, like, the title, its fanciness or how pretty it was, it probably lasted only a couple of months or 3 months. In reality, I was just making sure that the team that I was hiring was being effective. I was helping them progress in their career paths, and that for me was a lot more impactful on my resume for future jobs than just the title of CMO. And it's something you gotta be careful, because some recruiters might interpret going from CMO to then again marketer or specialist or expert as a downgrade, and they might evaluate that as someone who made a mistake and took more that they could handle, which some could argue that was my case as CMO of that fintech in Colombia, or basically someone that is willing to downgrade their career path for a different value. So either for more money, so I'm willing to step down as a CMO from one company to go as a not entry level but very junior role in a different company just because this company has more resources and can pay a higher salary. And that could be seen as someone who is just after the money, which is okay if you're that type of people. But if you are scared of being considered that type of people when looking for jobs, and instead you want to be seen as someone who actually cares, someone who loves being accountable, and someone who will feel part of the company and will try its best to represent that company, then know that within your interview process, it's good to explain these differences or discrepancies within your resume or in your conversations with any recruiter or in your networking events. Do you have any questions so far from what I've talked about? T-shaped, I-shaped, lateral transitions, different roles, the importance of roles. Do you have any questions so far? Sorry. Hello, thank you for following, Nada. If you're the Nada that I think you are, thank you so much for being here. So, coming back to a little bit to career paths within these areas, one of the focuses of Marketers Pensieve is understanding the differences between these three areas and how they play together. So I used marketer for Marketers Pensieve as a title just because it's, for me, the broader term. And hello, Nada. And I believe that marketers. Oh, hello. I think I may have disconnected for a little bit. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see me, if everything's working fine. Back again. Okay, thank God. So I actually tried to plug in an Ethernet cable to my router, and I was missing probably like a meter worth of cable. And that probably shows you the consequences. On Twitch, can you hear me on Twitch? I'm reading that I'm muted. Okay. Would you mind refreshing your Twitch page just to make sure? Let me know after you've refreshed if you can still hear me. If you can't still hear me. I know that on YouTube they can hear me. Let's wait a little bit just to make sure that our folks on Twitch can hear me. That would be pretty bad. Still can't hear. Well, I have no idea what to do at this point on Twitch other than send you a link. Other than sending you a link for YouTube, and that really sucks. I'm very sorry about that. I have no idea what's going on, and I guess that's one of the things that happens when it's your first ever live stream. I'm watching myself on Twitch on a different computer, and again, sorry for everyone else who's watching. We're just experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties on the Twitch side. All right, I'll try something that I didn't think I would, but I mean, it doesn't make sense to reconnect their headphones. Sorry, but let me try. So it actually started working before I reconnected the headphones, so you can hear me now, correct? All right. Sorry for the people on YouTube. Thank you for the people on. Thank you to the people on Twitch. Hopefully you can all hear me now. Yeah, I can definitely hear me now on my other computer, which is great. Thanks for the feedback, and thanks for the patience. So, where was I? There were okay, let's just take a step back to recap. So we've talked about I-shaped, T-shaped career paths. We talked about people that are within marketing that will very likely in the future, I guess, be the people that transition the most to product management and growth roles. The reason why I say that is because I think marketing as a career path in general is starting to divide into many different elements. Like advertising, for example, is very specific and broad on its own. So as a component within marketing, it's a very big chunk. It's a very big cluster of different specializations. So there are some more product-oriented marketers, product marketers, people who do a lot of A/B testing within marketing, that and people who do a lot of user research within marketing, that are very likely overlapping with a lot of product management related duties or tasks or roles. Product management, though, however, from my experience, it's been more about, I mean, it's different, but it's still very similar to project management, where the project is actually the development of a solution, and that solution may be an MVP or a very robust product for a particular audience who has that problem. And for me, growth is what basically encompasses both marketing, product, a lot of user research, but the focus of growth is, for me and in my experience, has been quickly experimenting, and the base of your experimentation is the feedback that you get from talking directly with your users, but also not just hearing what they're saying, but looking at what they're doing. So people that work in growth are constantly experimenting different approaches to acquire, activate, convert, and retain more users and increase their lifetime value. And growth professionals can typically look at the whole chain of brand awareness all the way to conversion through retention, and split it into different funnel steps, if you will, or basically bottlenecks or filters where people drop off, and wherever there are red flags or numbers, conversion rates that don't add up, basically they start testing and iterating to make sure that the user that has a particular problem is able to solve it with your product and is happy with it enough to recommend more users. And I'm rambling a little bit because I think in general, career-wise, people in growth are typically T-shaped, because it's only until recently that I started seeing academic programs related to growth. Typically, growth professionals in the past maybe two decades, yeah, would be safe. It's people who have different backgrounds but had this analytical mindset to experiment and iterate and use the scientific method or any other quantitative and qualitative methods to understand what the right acquisition, conversion, retention strategies for their teams, and how to grow their lifetime value. Growth professionals have many different backgrounds. You can come from social media and work as a growth professional nowadays, just because you've learned how to iterate a lot within social media, either organic or paid, or different A/B testing, and you translate those skill set into A/B test on landing pages, A/B test on channel and funnel steps, on models, business models, and you get to translate those skill sets into experiments and projects. And yeah, I'm a little bit rambling on that side. So far, are there any questions regarding what we talked about? T-shaped, I-shaped career paths, about transferable skill sets. I wanted to know a little bit more about what brought you to this live stream in particular. Is there anything in particular that you said, hey, I should be watching this live stream because I want to learn more about X, Y, or Z? Is there anything in particular that caught your attention and said, I should give it a listen or a watch and see what comes up, other than the fact that you're either a family member of mine or a close friend? I guess one of the reasons why I also decided to start this live stream is because I wish I had this type of content when I was starting my career. I wish I was able to delineate what sort of roles and steps to take, and what sort of experiences and skills to learn in order to progress in my career. I think So in my case, I believe I was, or my career path has been very I-shaped, but the I had a baseline. So I was a very broad generalist. I basically, uh, I mean, I studied business, and that's very general. That's very broad, and then because I had many opportunities to study different subjects, to pick a specialization within the my bachelor's degree, and I couldn't decide on anything, I ended up having a management concentration, which means basically you couldn't decide yourself, so you took everything or different subjects of every area. Um, then as I was studying, I was working, but I took sales jobs, I took marketing jobs, I was launching some websites for some clients, I was running events. So I was, even then, my career, after a very broad and generic uh, business degree, I still had that sort of broad first career experience. And then I decided to do a master's in international business, which is basically like an MBA for people with less years of experience, and a little bit less intense. But then again, that was still very broad. I found that while I was studying, I was taking a lot of product development related projects. I liked tweaking things. I liked making things more conversion oriented. I wanted to make sure that I would talk to users, talk to um, potential users, understand their pain points, and I was doing a lot of tweaks here and there for the solutions that my clients or employers were offering. And that's how I, became a very project manager oriented marketer, which turned into a product management oriented marketer. And to be honest, the combination of those, when you start adding layers of data analytics, understanding data insights, and taking decisions based on data, and then iterating on top of that, that's for me what makes a growth professional, or that's one of the things that makes a growth professional. I think there are many things that could make a growth professional. Mango Family says, "I'm interested in learning what are the best channels, ways to reach and scale B2B." And Andres says, "I'm also looking for mentoring." Okay, awesome. So, and Blonde Panda, by the way, thank you so much for opening the stream and supporting. I really appreciate it. And then Nani asked, "As I understand, you work on many accounts for different companies. How do you differ from the last? How do each differ from the last? What is the main difference you see across all?" Okay, let me go one by one. So basically, Mango Family. So let's B2B. What industry are you in? Are you selling to companies in which industry? Are they tech companies? Are they pharmaceutical? What sort of industry are you in? Let's start from that, because I think channels and ways to reach and scale B2B, it really depends on who your client is, what their industry is, what are the problems that they're facing, what's the solution that you're providing, and then how are competitors currently offering that solution to them, and how are you different. Okay, EdTech B2B, so it's a platform for education for companies. Is it for company or something around that, right? Let's keep the conversation going, Mango, because I'm very interested. So within EdTech, what if you feel comfortable sharing, what are you selling other businesses related to education technology? Let's go in the meantime with Nani. So yes, so at Graphite, we're a premium agency, in the sense that, not premium because we title ourselves premium, but because of the clients that we have. So we have big companies that deliver premium quality experiences to their users. Therefore, we need to deliver premium experience to them as clients. So what do each so right now, for example, I'm working with 3 different companies or 3 different projects for 3 different companies. And something that I see often is that when they look for organic growth advisory or consulting, which is what we do, is because they are too dependent on the working capital they need for paid or other, yeah, for paid channels. So whether it's affiliates or sponsored or ads on Google or TV or whichever network of paid advertisement that they use, they're too dependent on that. If one day their hypothetical credit card just crashes or they have issues with payment, for example, and their ads don't run for a whole day, that might lead to 0 new users, 0 transactions, 0 revenue on that day. So they're too dependent on paid traffic in order to survive, and that means requiring uh, allocating a lot of their capital resources into these paid channels in order to survive. And that increases their burn rate as well, meaning that each month they need to continue burning more cash, more and more, in order to grow. So they're dependent on that. So while what we do is that we create organic, scalable growth engines, meaning that instead of investing in ads, invest in ensuring your platform is usable, ensuring your platform gets seen, crawled, and indexed by Google, and invest in making sure that your content is what meets best the needs of users looking for you online. Um, Meaning that we make sure that we create for them a strategy where, by investing X amount of money in content strategies, CRO, conversion rate optimization, and other areas of SEO such as technical SEO or product SEO through programmatic pages and whatnot, they're investing in something that has in some cases high investment at first, but pays off over time. And um, that's how over time they become less dependent on those paid channels, and they can allocate more resources to other areas such as product development, user research, understanding better the users, and scaling properly. That's sort of what we do. And main difference between them is probably, let's switch to the Q&A area. Right, so that's probably the thing that they have in common. What they differ the most is industries. So it really so the strategies differ, the tactics not necessarily, um, because there are some playbooks that we've generated and the people at the company have worked on in the past that we can translate and replicate and adapt to every client. So every client is different in the sense that they serve different needs, they serve different audiences, they might even serve different geographies. Um, and one key difference is those who perform best out of the inputs that we provide them is those who are best resourced, or at least pay more attention to what they need to do from our inputs, or basically they have a bigger understanding or a better understanding of what organic growth means and why it's so important to invest in it very early on. And because of that understanding, they can prioritize and they understand the long-term vision. Some companies that just raised funds or are in the process of raising funds, they might be more interested in very short, quick wins, and the impact will be different. The strategies will be different. Cake Toppers. Hello, I want to know more about where to start. I graduated master's in marketing management and a professional graphic designer. I'm from Venezuela and I have 4 years living in the USA. Okay, Cake Toppers. So there are many areas. So within graphic design, I mean, you have a talent that I do not, and it's that creative component. So there are many areas. So let's split them by verticals. Like within marketing, you can be working with either asset creation for, I mean, every single channel. Basically, you can create assets for social media, you can create assets for websites. So landing pages. I think if what you're looking for is how to become a marketer, I do have some guides that could potentially lead you or help you guide you into what career path to take. But if you already have a master's, so technically you already know, you already know the basics. You're a graphic designer. I guess my question to you is, what are you interested in learning? What are you interested in becoming good at? What are your strengths? What do you feel are your weaknesses? Because the way I see it, graphic designers within marketing have a lot of potential right now, based off what I'm seeing right now with my clients and in the industry, is becoming CMS developers. So by developer, I don't mean that you necessarily need to code, but for example, if you use a tool like Webflow, then you can integrate your skill set of graphic design to web development with a very useful and very trending CMS such as Webflow. Another thing you can do is focus on product design. So product design or digital product design is more about how the users interact with applications, become very focused on the user experience, user journeys within experiences such as web apps, and then create variations that, based on data, could have more repercussions on conversions. That was a little bit vague, but growth designers, which I think is a particularly cool area for graphic designers transitioning into more tech product oriented careers, are very focused on understanding what are the patterns in terms of design and user experience and user interfaces that other companies, successful companies, are using on their apps and websites. Find patterns within the multiple competitors. What are they doing similar? What are they doing different? And then look for data in terms of who is being more successful at converting and retaining clients. And then by identifying patterns of design patterns, or so UX UI patterns within multiple competitors, you can identify opportunities to either replicate some of those patterns to your project, to your company, or to your client or employer, and test them. Now, something that growth designers could be improving their skill set on is as well the quantitative approach. So if you're a graphic designer that turns into a product designer or growth designer, it'll be very interesting to understand how to measure the impact of what you're proposing. So if you can create experiments and you can measure them and estimate, based on the data on a daily basis, 10,000 people, 10,000 users go through this user flow. Right now, your drop-off rate is 15% or so. By testing this variation of your design, you can have a 20% lift of relative to that 50% conversion, meaning an approximate move from 15% to 18% conversion, approximate. Then if you are able to translate your designs based on the research that you've done into numbers and their business impact, that is massive. That is massive because you become a very valuable asset for analyzing what competitors are doing. What can you do better? What can you test? How can you test it? And what the potential impact is. And that's something that people with a design background could leverage very easily, because some of us, like people like me, I still use Paint on Windows, and when they changed it a few years ago, I think with the release of Windows 10, I almost cried because I thought it was gonna be like a complete overhaul, and I'm super dependent on Paint. So you have a leg-in that is very and a very valuable asset and background that can be leveraged. Again, if you have any questions about that, continue typing here or send me a whisper on Twitch, or I think you're on YouTube, you can send me a message as well. I'd be glad to help with that. Now, back to Mango Family. Yes, Mango Family. Okay, my particular case. We connect kids to practice a second language through virtual play dates. Interesting. So far, I've been doing B2C, but I would like to reach out schools, camps, or so. The play date is between a native kid based in the US, English speaker, with a child based in Latam, Spanish speaker, guided by a coach. Language exchange for kids through virtual playdates. Okay, so virtual playdates. So it's not necessarily that they okay, they don't necessarily meet in person. That's that's a very interesting approach. So one thing that I've done in the past in B2B situations is that I don't necessarily go directly to the businesses, but instead I go to groups of businesses. So either associations of schools. So for example, if you in Latam have an association of schools or an, for example, International Baccalaureate, which is the IB schools, that's a very big organization. If you get that one business and you can focus your energy in one business, that can catalyze and drip down to hundreds of other institutions. So most likely they'll ask for particular requirements. If there's any technological need, what do you need from those organizations in order to succeed? What will they get in return? But in essence, one thing that could be worth trying, I don't know if you've tried it, but basically going through channels that serve as catalysts. Yeah, catalysts. So instead of going one by one to each of the institutions, you can use organizations that can help you spread faster. It's similar how, I don't know how similar it is to you from your perspective, but from my perspective, it's kind of similar to how someone who's creating a new jam or a new jelly, and I created it using new ingredients, and it's super cool. And I go to each local store, and that's draining, and that's hundreds of negotiations within a week in a small town or city. But instead, if you go to a large chain like an owner of multiple small stores, then by having one big negotiation, you'll be able to spread quicker to a bigger number. So would be great to understand, like within your industry, if there are some organizations that focus on K through 12 education that could be interesting for you. So IBO is high school, it's International Baccalaureate Organization. Then you have other programs and associations of schools that have in multiple locations. Would be interesting to explore, to be honest. But I think right now, out of the context that I have, I think looking for those organizations or catalysts for your business would be very great to, with less effort or less spread of your focus, you'll be able to achieve more. Because if you divide yourself into 100 different institutions that you gotta tackle one by one, it'll get tougher. It'll get tougher, more time consuming, or more energy consuming, because you will have to follow up with all those organizations on a one by one case, know all their names, follow up, and even though you can automate that with a lot of tools like CRMs and email marketing tools, if you get to focus all your energy on just one client, that could help. That doesn't mean that it's all or nothing. I think diversifying your risk, like while you work on one big client that could help you spread to multiple different schools, you could potentially be working, instead of 100 individuals, you could probably be working on 10, 15, but that leaves you with a lot more time and flexibility to focus effectively on each of those. And that's just my experience. I think as someone who lived here in the US when I was 6 years old for 1 year and then went back to Latam, I think in order to practice my English, it would have been great to have this solution back then. But back then we have that internet that sounded weird and that got cut off if someone picked up the phone. So I don't think it would have worked back then. But yeah, I think that's very cool, and please keep me posted, and please bring up any updates you find in next week's live stream. That would be great to hear. Cake toppers, that's what I need. I don't know how to digitally measure that thing. So there are a couple of blogs I think one would one good place to start understanding how design affects or design oriented experiments can have an impact and how to measure it is Optimizely. They have a good blog, they have a lot of content there. Let's see, you're on YouTube. I'm going to try and type this on YouTube. Optimizely. So Optimizely is a tool, but that has a lot of content on it, on design experimentation, conversion rate optimization in general, how to create tests, how to measure tests, and that could be a good starting point. If you feel that the content is too technical or too advanced for you for now, you can start with HubSpot's blog. In HubSpot's blog, there's a whole section regarding conversion rate optimization, A/B testing, multivariate testing, and the language level that they use is more on the eighth grader type of language. It's very easy to consume. It's very relatable, and yeah, I would probably suggest that as a very first starting point, and then potentially, yeah, advancing with something within Optimizely's blog. Overall, as a whole source of content, I would recommend checking out Medium. Medium is a very big blogging platform where you can select your interests and topics that you like to follow or be interested in, and you get a daily digest of 3 free articles that you can read every day. And if you have the budget for it, you can get a subscription either for $50 a year or $5 a month on a monthly basis, and gets you unlimited access to a lot of content. Like I think I do probably 80% of my learning every week through Medium and content that I find in Medium. The remaining 20% is split between 15% other pages, other websites, and then 5% on videos. And that's just in terms of quantity of articles that I consume, or quantity of pieces of content. So I probably watch less videos in quantity, but they're usually longer. I watch podcasts and whatnot. So yeah, that's one way to go. Medium, a lot of articles, HubSpot's blog, Optimizely, and then once you start getting into understanding the different opportunities of testing, the types of testing, what sort of metrics you need to be measuring, how to measure them, what tools you can use to measure them, then you start exploring different alternatives, different tools such as Google Optimize and a bunch of different testing platforms. Mango family, please do send the demo. That would be awesome. Yeah, looking forward to it. Blonde pandas. Yeah, what's up? Not disturbing. You have a particular question? Right. So, does anyone have any particular questions, whether they're related to career paths in marketing, product management, and growth, or in general about their particular products right now? Yes. So actually, I am thinking about a Discord server. I was waiting to see what the engagement was on the chat on this first live stream, to test it and to ask you at the end if you would all like to be part of a community, basically that is focused on marketing growth and product management, where we can share content, share hiring opportunities, job opportunities, share uh, current case studies, experiences, bad experiences, and I think that would be pretty cool to sort of start developing a community around that. And yeah, that's a great idea, great feedback, Blonde Pandas. I appreciate it. And now that I'm seeing you share that opinion, I think it's gonna be it reinforces my idea of having a Discord server. So definitely something that I'm looking forward to building now. I'm glad it helped Cake Toppers. I think I think you have a lot of potential opportunities out there. You already speak English, which is a big hurdle for a lot of people, a lot of our people in Latin America. I'm also Venezuelan, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that at the beginning of the live stream. I'm from Venezuela, but I've lived around a lot. I've moved 24 times in my lifespan. I left Venezuela when I was 18, moved to the UK, then went back to Venezuela for a year, then moved to Boston, US for 2 years, then 3 years in Colombia, and now I've been here in the US again in Florida for 2 years. So I've moved around, and that's why I think another particular thing that I wanted to share within Marketers Pensieve is the fact that um, Latin America as a hub has a lot of talent, has a lot of potential in terms of talent to explore. But there's still a big gap in terms of uh, being able to experience what they know and their talent, being able to execute on what they know, being able to execute on that talent. Thanks, Rai, for the feedback on the Discord. Yeah, I'll definitely be building that. Thanks for the feedback. I think Latin America, and that's probably a subject for a topic for a different live stream. But I think Latin America has a lot of talent. Good percentage of Latin America speaks English as a second language, which is great because it opens them not just opportunities for other Spanish speaking countries in the world, but in general opens them to every single other market in the world, basically. Makes them a valuable asset. And with the pandemic, we noticed the importance of remote work and remote opportunities. Sorry, I think I need some water. All right, sorry. I think Latin America. I think there's a lot of opportunities to provide all the talent that is there, opportunities to execute on their knowledge and skill sets and gut. I think there's a lot to explore there, and I think with the increase of remote work and remote opportunities, a lot of companies here in the U.S. and other countries in the world will take notice of the impact that Latin America, Latin America's talent can have on them. And I've noticed as well, like working remotely since even before the pandemic. I've been working remotely since end of 2017, so well before the pandemic. And I've noticed how integrating different cultures through remote work makes companies more aware of market segments, more aware of internal operations as well. Things to consider like festivities, culture shock elements, or things that can cause culture shock. And smart companies are definitely leveraging that for expansion to other countries. So, for example, if there's a marketing team that has their engineering team engineering counterpart team in Colombia, but they're a marketing team here in the US, and they're trying to target tech companies in Latin America, they definitely leverage, or they should be definitely leveraging the fact that they have internal resources, people that they talk to on a day-to-day basis and get to understand them. Again, that's part of marketing, product management, and growth in general, is talking to your users or people that are similar to your users or your potential users, understanding their needs, their pain points, problems, see how you can adapt your solution to fit their needs. And I think companies are doing that more nowadays, and not only exploring those markets for business opportunities, but also for hiring opportunities. I don't know if Nada here is still watching, but basically Nada is someone I worked with a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now. Wow. And I think one thing that we decided that it would be amazing for her career would be to continue learning English. she's fantastic. Back then she was working to become a CRM specialist, meaning for an entire company, understanding how the platform works and how to tweak it for everyone's all the different stakeholders needs. And right now here in the US, like that's a big market. There's a big need for people like that that can coordinate multiple teams interactions with a tech platform. I think it was Spotify. Yeah, a couple of months ago, I was looking into jobs in the US just to understand like what the market is, and that's also related to Marketers Pensieve and the whole topic about career paths. I was just trying to understand like trends within these areas and career paths, and I saw that Spotify had a job for one of its divisions, which I think is like nonprofit subdivision or something, but it was a marketing technology operator, and it was basically someone who knew how to integrate all these different tools that we might be using on our day-to-day lives as professionals within marketing, product management, and growth, how to integrate them to for these organizations, and for this particular organization, how to implement them based on their other team's needs. So for example, if the engineering team needed a database to or a platform to automate email messages, then a CRM specialist would be able to, you know, create all the templates needed with all the variables needed, so that the engineering team could integrate via API and send those in mass and leverage CRM's database of customers. There you go. Yeah, she's still learning and improving her skills. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And then so it was super relevant, and I'm glad Nate is here because that's an example of something that we talked about maybe 3 years ago, and only a couple of months ago I saw a job posting for a big company such as Spotify looking for someone with her profile, right? And I'm not sure whether that particular role was open for remote jobs. I believe it was, because Spotify is very open about remote jobs, but goes to show how something that we talked about at the beginning, those T-shapes or I-shaped career paths can definitely help you, like, because Nate in particular had a background in the administrative roles, had experience in the sales, in sales roles, in marketing roles. She had that base, like, sort of like a generalist that had worked in different areas. Then she started specializing in CRM and understanding how the platform can benefit all these different roles, and that created a niche for her and an added value compared to other candidates elsewhere. And now, like, looking at a more senior level, is someone who could be potentially applying for jobs like this at Spotify, which is basically understanding how to integrate which solutions that will bring all stakeholders together in these marketing platforms. So yeah, thanks for hopping on, Nada, because I think that's giving us a couple of things to talk about, and a couple of things to bring together what we talked about at the beginning of the live stream, which is those career paths on marketing, product management, and growth. Is it still open? I have no idea. Probably. I'll look for it and send you a link if I find it. Drink a little bit of water. Now, I was supposed to send an Instagram story, which was an LinkedIn post and a Twitter tweet, requesting questions or gathering questions that people may have to answer live. And I completely forgot about that until right now when I saw the clock. But it's fine. I think, do you guys have any more questions related to marketing, product management, or growth, about career paths, or case studies such as what Cake Toppers was asking us about, which is any recommendations as a graphic designer with a marketing master's degree, where to start, where to go from there, what skills to work on, and then other case studies such as the ones from Mango Family, who is building an ed tech solution to connect kids from English-speaking countries to kids to in Spanish-speaking countries, with a coach in between to help mediate conversation and learn language. That's awesome. If you guys have any other sort of situations or cases that you would like to discuss or share, that would be great. That would give us a little bit more content to discuss. Also, if you have any questions about me or my background, I doubt that's as interesting, but open to answer any questions. By the way, something that I promised myself not to do was, so the platform that I'm using for the live stream, it basically has like a screen where I can see myself and everything that you guys are seeing, and then it has like a toggle button right at the top right that says viewers, and I can basically see the how many viewers I have on each of the, like, added up between both YouTube and Twitch, and I've kept it hidden. So I might be sometimes if nobody's talking or nobody's chatting, I'm like, okay, maybe there's no one left here, but I'm glad there's still people here. Mango families. I have a technical question. Can I? Of course, yeah. Let's go for it. And depending on the technical question, I'll provide context for the rest of the people to understand what it's about, how it's applied, and then I'll give you my feedback if I know how to answer. Or maybe I can just guide you to the right direction on where to find the answer. Which tool would you recommend to manage messages to clients? So what you're looking for is a client relationship management system, like a CRM. Usually that involves a list of all your clients, different characteristics of your clients, and then their email, phone numbers, data, and then for each of them you have like notes, and you can select reminders. So it really depends on your budget, where you are right now. If you're starting, one free tool that can scale to a very powerful tool and paid tool that is very powerful is Hubspot. So Hubspot's CRM is free and will always be free as per their mission statement or something. Have you heard of Hubspot? So Hubspot's CRM in particular is free, and basically it's basically that database of all your clients. You can import from other lists. So if you have them on spreadsheets at the moment, you can just import them into Hubspot to make it easy. And then right there you can, I think in the free version, you can even email your clients from the tool itself, just not at a mass scale, but on a one-to-one. So you integrate it with your email address. And the one thing that I would recommend though is that HubSpot has this tool to integrate your Gmail and whatnot with you. So HUBSPOT, HubSpot. I think if you still write it that way, you'll probably still get it on the first result. But HubSpot CRM, client relationship management tool, it's free. It's very powerful. It's a database for your clients, and then you can expand on each client, see all the notes, assign reminders for yourself or your team. I think you can email them directly. You can build templates of emails. So, for example, if you have multiple type of services or multiple type of messages that you would like to send, you can pre-build those. Text messages, I can't remember right now if HubSpot has text messages. I think it may have integrations with text messaging platforms. Yes, HubSpot text messages. Can't remember text messages. I would have to get back to you, or you can find on HubSpot CRM text messages on Google, and it should give you that answer. But I do know that I think it was a year and a half ago. Um, there was an integration that you could add to your HubSpot CRM that would connect HubSpot to your WhatsApp business account. So it's not text message, it's WhatsApp, but depending on your market, that might help. Um, Text messages I can't remember right now for the sake of me, but I would check. Yeah, Nada here is suggesting that HubSpot. Yeah, she thinks there's an integration between a text message platform and HubSpot through Zapier, which is a middleman type of platform that allows you to connect multiple different apps, and it's very user friendly for non-technical people. So it's basically drag and drop, where you select HubSpot, you select the CRM, and then on the other side you select your text messaging tool, and it creates like a task that synchronizes or integrates both of them, so that you don't have to deal with any of the technical aspects of it. And Zapier is also free. You would have to see if that particular integration is free or not. It also depends on your market, by the way. So if it's in the US, HubSpot might be able to do it for free. Again, I'm not entirely sure. But if it's text messages for an international number, then then you might need different integrations, both one for the US market, one from the LATAM market, and in LATAM for every different provider in different countries. It's kind of complicated in that area. That's a good question, though. Yeah, Zapier, Zapier or Zapier. That's an integrations platform that allows you to integrate apps with apps without having to code anything in between. So Zapier would be able to help you integrate your HubSpot with any text messaging platform. Thanks for the question. That's a very good question, and it relates to everything that we've talked about listening and communicating with your clients effectively. And these tools, every day, as time goes on, there are a lot more tools, a lot more things that facilitate working in these areas. Then those solutions also need to be sold, so they also need their own marketing, product management, growth teams to get them to the mainstream consumer. Are there any other questions? By the way, I had a question for you, actually. So you've joined this live stream, and I'm super happy about it. Do you follow any other um, streamers or content creators within marketing, product management, and growth? If you do, it would be great if you could share with me their profiles. You could share it with me their links, their profiles, their channels. I think it would greatly help me understand what's out there, what sort of topics they're talking about, and that would be pretty cool to know. Mango family, I'm in early stage testing for about 1 year, so I have a lot of questions. Hey, that's great, and I'm glad you feel free to ask them all here. That's what this space is all about. Uh, this is not consulting. This is more of a conversation, and wherever I can add value, or the community can add value, then that's Marketers Pensieve. Then it's meeting its goal, which is connecting people within these areas to share, engage, and learn from each other. So that makes me very happy. Um, by the way, Mango family, just to make a quick intro, on Twitch we have Nada, which is this person I've been talking about, who is who I worked on HubSpot CRM and stuff for the past, that was about 3 years ago now. if you're interested, I can make an intro as well, just so that you can communicate. She has a lot of expertise in that area, at least until I create that Discord channel to communicate within the community. That way, regardless of the channel that you're watching the live stream on, you can communicate and ask questions more freely to anyone in the community. So stay tuned. I'll create that community on Discord, and then if you're interested, please send me a message either here or on YouTube messages or Instagram, Twitter, wherever, and then I can help. I can put you together. I can connect you to, and she has a lot of value that she can provide you with, particularly starting at the beginning, like from the get go. She has a lot of insights that could provide you. So yeah. I almost forgot that you can actually also see the chat on the live stream. So that's how you have been probably interacting with each other. Thank you, Andres, for being here. Send me a message. I know you talked about looking for a mentor. It would be very interesting to see what areas you're interested in receiving mentorship on. So send me a message. Would be glad to help. I'm guessing by the message, thanks for your time, is that you're leaving. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Mango, I've never tried ads. I think it's a waste of time. A budget. Am I wrong? I mean, I'll answer like like a, a growth professional, and the answer is it depends. So it really depends on ads on which channel. Is it Facebook ads? Is it Google ads? Is it a different ads platform? And it really depends on whether it's B2B or B2C. It really depends on whether it's for US and whether it's for LATAM. I think in particular for LATAM, or at least Spanish speaking countries, it's cheaper in terms of the pricing and the reach that you could get, because the search volume, at least in Google Ads, search volume is lower compared to markets like the US. Again, it depends on the country and depends on the city and the location. But then again, you can also begin to work on organic visibility. Lena the mom, awesome. I'm actually gonna start following you right now. And again, I think in Latam in particular would be a great opportunity to start ranking organically versus ads. And that's just a personal preference. But again, you would actually Neda Neda actually worked in Google Ads with me and Facebook Ads, and she has a little bit of experience in the Colombian market and Venezuelan market as and Mexican market as well. I don't know if any other country for the past 3 years, but um, again, it really depends on your market, your channel, and the type of user you're looking to acquire. So, for example, paid ads for B2B, uh, my intuition says that probably not as effective um, versus other channels, such as organic and creating a reputation, creating authority, trying to understand what are decision makers in these institutions that you're looking to negotiate with are reading, consuming, what sort of bulletins are they paying attention to, what sort of newspapers they're reading to, what sort of news outlets in general they're paying attention to. Those might be a little bit more valuable than just paid ads on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or whatever for the principals or the superintendent at a school in the US. You now have one more follower, Lena. So thank you for that, for participating and asking all these awesome questions. By the way, if I may ask, how did you find Marketers Pensieve? Like where do you see Marketers Pensieve, or how do you find out? Basically, that's I'm curious about that. curious at this point. Oh, Andres. Okay, so nice. Andres Cajiao. He's a good friend. He's one of those professionals that I admire about it a lot. Um, he's a young professional who is great at growth. He is great. Um, very analytical, very well spoken, very straightforward, and I'm glad that you found out through his post. Appreciate him sharing the ad or publication, the post about my about the live stream. Oh, nice. And this is one of my investors. Nice. You get a good guy behind there, so that's pretty cool. Right. A friend told me about it. Yeah, I know who that friend is. Me. But thank you. Andres Bello, also from Andres Cajiao's Instagram post. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. He again, like, see, this is a good example of a catalyst. So I shared a post and he shared a post that had a lot more reach. So instead of me going to each of his followers independently, I just, you know, benefited from our relationship and him just sharing because he cares, because sharing is caring. Are there any more questions? For next week, I was thinking I have a couple of topics in my head, but I was wondering if you had any topics that you would like to go deeper into on the next live stream. Anything that you're particularly interested in learning more about that we can discuss further with more documentation, with more examples, with more guides, with more links to learn more about. I think this first career sort of topic was very broad and it was from a personal perspective. So it was just very subjective. But if you have any particular topics that you would like to discuss on the next live stream, or if you want to see videos of, please do let me know, because that's the idea of this community. You tell me what I can help you with. I'm a catalyst for you for knowledge. So if there's anything I can help you with, any sort of content that you would like to see more about, anything that you would like a perspective on, or if you want to demo one of your projects live on live stream, that would be great. Retention strategies. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'll take note of that. Retention strategies. That's a very big one, and I think that's a very interesting one. Thanks for suggesting that. I think Andres Bello mentioned mentorship as a topic as well. Another topic: which should be the first approaches to do an organic growth strategy? That's oof, yeah, that's a great topic. That's a great topic because I think a lot of people, they start a project and similar to Mango Family, to Lena, it's basically, should I invest in ads to get quick results, or should I be investing in organic? What does that entail? What does investing in organic mean? And that's very interesting. Waitlist management. That's interesting. That's interesting. Would want I'll probably ask you, um, under what context. So waitlist management could be like at a restaurant level. Is it at an expectation campaign level? Which is probably the latter. But I think those are very interesting topics. Waitlist management. I hadn't thought about that. That's pretty interesting. I know that, yeah, I can probably bring some examples that might be relatable from the some hype industries. So, for example, video games that have a lot of hype, or uh, movies, TV shows that have uh, waitlist, or a lot of expectation behind it. Rai mentions tools, pros and cons that we can use in marketing could work as a topic too. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I think we could probably segment it into different use cases and a ranking by use case. So, for example, if it's for ads building purposes, if it's for design purpose, sorry, for design purposes, if it's for email marketing, if it's for CRM. That's definitely a big topic. That would probably have to break down into multiple streams or smaller bites. But I think that's a very interesting topic to discuss as well. Thanks for suggesting that, Rai. Okay, so if you don't have any more questions right now, or any suggestions or anything that you'd like to discuss, I think we can cut the live stream at this point. Again, thank you so much for being active, being participant, being engaging, sharing. It's been, for me, super satisfying to launch Marketers Pensieve, have people engage. Thank you so much. It would be awesome to have a real case studies in terms of acquisition, retention, and so on. That would be a great topic to bring someone in. So if I could bring someone that can explain their own case studies within those areas, that would be great. I think I know a lot of people that could be great for that. And instead of me telling you about some clients in the past where I intervened in certain areas, I think someone that has seen it through with their own projects or startups or companies, that would be great. And then we have Mango Family, which can be a real case. Yeah, that would be awesome as well. We can explore. We can probably sort of live audit your situation, come up with ideas, come up with proposals, suggested action steps. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool as well. That's probably a variation of that original case study sort of suggestion. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I think there are a lot of topics to explore. I think there are a lot of conversations to be had. I think there are a lot of people to be met, and I think there are a lot of people that have the potential to engage within this environment. I'll be working on that Discord community, just because I do believe that having a community and growing that community of people that are interested in talking about marketing, product management, and growth, it just creates more synergy, creates an aggregated, 1+1 = 3 kind of thing. Thank you everyone for hopping on. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ooh, thanks for the follow. Right at the end. I'll see you soon. See you on social media. If you like the content, please do subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Instagram, which is here. YouTube is here. Twitter is here. This will be weekly, yes, on Fridays. So once I have this Discord community, I'll also be sharing like different schedules and times, see what people prefer. I do have a full-time job, therefore like the availability is not gonna be enough, and that's my number one priority right now, because I do have not just responsibility and commitment and contracts in between, but because I have the moral obligation to prioritize that. But yeah, I'll create a community and share some schedules that might work for everyone else. But yeah, weekly on Fridays, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Time Zone on YouTube and Twitch. Follow on social media, on YouTube, on Twitch. And again, thank you so much for such an amazing first ever live stream of Marketers Pensieve. Until next time, bye.